What's up? Welcome to inTIMate for February 2021. Of course, I'm Tim Gettys. This is my show, inTIMate, because you can't get intimate without Tim in the middle of it. Never forget that. Think about it for a second if you don't understand. It's intimate, intimate, baby. Let's go. It's the show where I answer your questions. It's essentially AMA, but it's Timified, which means it's not that high quality. So strap in and get ready for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of good questions today. A lot of good questions. Haven't looked at them yet, but there's a lot of them. And I can guarantee they're good because they're coming from you, our Patreon supporters. Thank you very much. Let's see. This first one comes in and says, "Hi, Tim. When would you say you started to get a hold of your personal finances? Also, where would you say you got the most money management education or advice? Parents, school, friends, etc. Thanks for taking the time to answer, or sorry if this is too personal. Calvin B." Not too personal at all, Calvin. I definitely did not have a hold of my personal finances until I left IGN. I've talked about this in a lot of different podcasts over the years, Game Over Craigie's show specifically, but me and Cool Greg didn't have the best upbringing financially. Like we were definitely on the poor side of things, and if it weren't for a lot of financial aid, we would have struggled even more than we already were. But it would have been rough. It would have been really, really, really bad. So a lot of my childhood / teen years, up until I was around 25, leaving IGN, it was really rough to support my mom, who is disabled and needed a lot of help, raising me and my brother. And there was many, many, many months, if not most of the months, that I was the one that was kind of in charge of getting the money for our household and stuff. So in that sense, I had to be financially responsible for my entire life. But I was not in control of my personal finances until I was a couple years into having IGN as my steady job, in a post-college world. And it was when I first left IGN to do Kind of Funny. I had enough money to buy my car, and I had $10,000 in the bank. And that to me had been my goal for so long, because I didn't have a car, or when I did have cars, they were broke down pieces of shit. And it was such a necessity to take my mom to the hospital when she had to go there, or, deal with, whatever was going on with my brother, or also just, daily getting to work and doing all that stuff. So it's crazy. I've talked about this recently on Kind of Funny podcast, but it's crazy how the rich get richer in so many different ways, where my life has definitely just gotten easier as I've been able to make more money and take care of things in, more efficient manners. And an example of that being I spent so much money on public transportation when I was young, and for me, my mom and my brother. And had I just been able to afford a car, that would have solved so many of those issues, but I wasn't in that position, so I couldn't do it. So it's just crazy that once you get this thing, it's cool, then you have it, and then you're saving so much money. You're spending a lot of money too, but it all just kind of works that way. Anyways, all this to say, I don't think it's ever too late to figure it out. I know a lot of my friends, it took a little bit longer than even that. But yeah, my life has entirely been turned around, and so much of it was really listening. You're asking where did I get the most money management advice? It was my friends entirely, and then YouTube as well as most things in my life. I like to listen to people, and I like to hear their stories and stuff. And there's a lot of resources out there, and it could be a lot of fun once you actually get your whole mind around it. And it's not something that is, trying to destroy your life, when it's something that is actually helping and enhancing your life. Tim, Neo JD writes in and says, "Tim, what was the most practical thing you learned how to do in 2020? Most practical thing? Let's see. Well, in 2021, it's definitely been trying to get my life back on course with running every day and all that stuff. It's not so much learning to do, but it's about learning to get my modern life into that rhythm. And that's been going pretty well. But in terms of 2020 specifically, I do think it's been a lot of the tech side of our setup from working from home, being able to stream. I'm still not totally comfortable. I don't think I'd be able to get a Andy Cortez style stream from my place by myself all set up. But even little things like this, being able to record this without Kevin running it or any of that. Like, there was definitely a huge education process for all of Kind of Funny, for all of us to kind of get a little bit more up to speed on the tech side and the behind the scenes, which is great. Like, the more you know about the different aspects of your workplace, like, it just enhances everybody's experience. So, yeah, definitely the most practical thing I learned was to be a little bit more in control of the tech side of things for what we do. Any thoughts on doing a Pokemon card opening stream like Bruce Green? I would love that. I just think that the Pokemon card scene has gotten a little crazy, and I don't want to just jump in just because of the hype and everyone doing it. Like, I would definitely want it to be stuff that like I care about, which would be, if somehow I got a hold of a original base pack box, yeah, I'd be all about that. But when I see all these, like, the GX or whatever, like the crazy new cards where the whole thing's hollow, I'm like, I don't know enough about this. So it kind of feel, not really, it wouldn't be genuine of me to really like jump into that unless there was a hook or an angle that made sense. But I love the idea of it, and like it's very exciting. I've watched a bunch of streams of people just opening Pokemon cards, and it brings me back to being a kid. There's that thrill of like opening it up and seeing which one you're gonna get. I love when they take the cards and then they reshuffle them so that the last are like the big reveals. It's great stuff. Here we got one. Any advice on how someone can start in video game production as an associate producer? I want to work on video game project management, but it seems that even entry-level roles require previous game experience. How do I start without any experience? This is a question we get a lot, and, the answer is always going to be the same, which is a lot of luck, a lot of networking, and a lot of making sure that you are ready for when the time comes. And the time might not come. That's the big thing, is like not everybody is lucky enough to have that moment where they get their in, no matter how talented and skilled you are. So make sure that your talent and skill is ready to be shown off if anybody's ever going to be looking, because that moment will just be there. And if you miss it, that might have been your one shot. So make sure that you're, up to date on your skills, that you're like looking into new techniques and all that stuff when like, I don't know exactly the video game production side of things because that's not my world. But from talking to Andy, it seems like there's a lot of similarities to what I used to do and what I still do with video production and video editing and all that stuff. And it's like there's always new things to learn. There's always new tutorials to consume and watch and take in. So yeah, just kind of have that and be ready. Otherwise, it's like, man, I know it's a boring answer, but follow people on Twitter. Listen to what they're saying. Look when there's job openings. There's oftentimes people want to support the industry. So we'll see job postings and then they just get retweeted. And like if you're following the right people, there's a lot of opportunities that are going to be there for you. It's not necessarily you're going to get them, but it's worth the shot there. Lexi Gunner says, "What's up, Tim? How's the shoe game treating you? Any new J's you're looking forward to this year?" I swear, Lexi, every single time, every year, I'll like look at like 23isback.com or whatever and try to look at like the Jordan releases for the year and like plan out like I want to get these, I want to get these, I want to get these. And then I always forget. I'm always like, I'm super hyped for the, whatever, the Brett 11s. And then they get released. I'm like, oh, well, that time passed and I totally missed it. So there's none that I'm necessarily looking forward to this year. But that's only because I haven't looked. And it is usually the sneakers app will let me know like things are happening. It's already way too late for me to get it. But every once in a while, one of my friends will hook me up and get me the shoes that they think that I'd want and be like, hey, I got you a pair in case you want them. So that's pretty nice. We got Fernando Rodriguez saying, "Hello, Tim. I discovered Kind of Funny close to 2 years ago, and you guys have been an amazing safe haven for positivity, entertainment, fun times, and helping me learn and broaden my horizons, all the way from Portugal. And I wanted to ask you, what were the thing or things that had the same effect on you? Like, for example, a YouTube channel or a movie. Keep up the amazing work." Thank you, Fernando. That's actually a very nice thing for you to say. This is not going to be new news to people that have been listening to me for a while, but there is a music collective called QN5 that is ran by an artist named Tone Deaf that used to do the music for Kind of Funny, has been at every Kind of Funny live event, and, a very good friend of mine. But at this point, back then I was just a fan of his, but he created this collective of like-minded artists that made independent hip hop music that really, really resonated with me. And, I kind of, and my brother as well, and a couple of my friends like Alfredo too. And they really focused on community. They had a website, they had forums. The artists were on the forums, and this is, you know, pre-Twitter, like, you know, the traditional social media. Like, this is like before MySpace even, really, but like also using MySpace as well. But having this website that people could go to, that everyone nowadays, it's like, oh, it's a Facebook group, it's Reddit, whatever. But it was very novel back then, and it was a very tight-knit community of people. And we would fly, like, they'd do annual concerts similar to how we did Kind of Funny Live and make it a big event for the fans to all fly out. And I would fly to New York to go to these concerts, and it was just a life-changing experience. And that's the entire impetus of Kind of Funny Live, and making sure that we are putting on a show that speaks to the audience of Kind of Funny as much as possible, because I know what it's like to care this much about something. So it's like, let's make sure that we are making it as amazing and hype as possible. Let's see. Next one comes from Joshua Shaneviz. Yes. Hey, Tim. Hope everything is well today. I was wondering if you've developed anything that's helping you stay sane during lockdown. New routines, music, hobbies, better work-life balance. Love to hear what's getting you through. Yeah, honestly, it's been me doing the running thing and, you know, trying to just take care of myself a little bit better. Like, that's been a really good routine that is 1,000% due to lockdown. And then on top of that, my project of just building out the home theater, it's kind of been my passion project for my entire life that I've been planning towards. Earlier, I was talking about personal finances and stuff. Like, I remember being so jealous that some of my other friends got to like start building out, you know, their dream kind of like entertainment systems while I was left with nothing. But I'm so blessed that I'm at a point now that I've planned and made sure that, you know, I'm getting the best deals possible. And it's been a very, very, very long time in the making, but you know, I've been picking up pieces here and there, and like, I'm finally in a place that I can make this all happen, and it'll never end. It's never like there's it's finally done. So a big hobby that I have now is kind of just adding to it, building to it, making it more and more ridiculous. This one comes from Chris. Hey, Tim, hope you and the team are doing well. 2 quick questions for you. Who do you think is going to win, Kong or Godzilla? And B, Jason Bourne in review. Sending love to your side of the world. Thanks for that, Chris. Jason Bourne in review. Honestly, don't want to say never, or sorry, never's never. Never say never is what I'm meaning to say here. Because at some point, you know, especially with 2 interviews a week, like we are kind of cruising through franchises, and that's another franchise I've never seen. So I'd love to do that. And who do I think is going to win, Kong or Godzilla? They're going to do some bullshit where they fight for a bit and then they team up. I would love for a versus movie to actually definitively choose a winner at some point. I understand why they would never want to do that, but it's like, it'd be pretty cool if it's like we went in and it was like, oh shit, okay, Godzilla wins. That's the end of that, you know? Very excited for the movie, though. The trailer was absolutely bananas. We got another question saying, what's up, Tim? Why do you think we haven't gotten an N64 Classic? It seemed like such a natural way to go after NES and SNES. There's a great library of games that they could put on, from first-party software to third-party games, and even the non-DK rare games. I feel Microsoft would have no issue being on the system. The N64 was my first system that was mine, and I'll always hold a special place for that weird controller. Will we ever get one? And if so, what are some non-first-party Nintendo games you think could actually appear? I don't know, man. I've been on record many times recently talking a lot of shit about Nintendo and their decisions recently, and their lack of output due to COVID and everything going on. The N64 Classic or N64 on the Switch Online, I am surprised that we haven't seen one or the other yet. I think the N64 Classic, if it was going to happen, was definitely like probably really, really screwed production-wise from the COVID stuff. And the N64 games showing up on the Switch Online, I've always said that the pricing of Switch Online was always scary to me because it's so cheap that I'm like, there's no way they're actually going to give us what we want, being working internet and just a full collection of Nintendo games. And it's sad because we're so close with the NES and SNES stuff that it's such a great product. Missing a couple classics, especially on the Super Nintendo, like how was Earthbound not there? It's really, really crazy. But over time, they're adding them and adding a lot of bullshit too. But I can't see them adding N64 because there's just too much value there for how little they're charging. So we'll see. I do think that at some point it might actually appear. Non-first party Nintendo games, I think, are going to be a little more rough. And they traditionally are on the classic systems as well. Like you never get all the Final Fantasies. It's just like one of them, you know? But Nintendo's crazy. They could do anything at any time, and I wouldn't be surprised. All right. Let's see. This one comes. There's no name here, but Tim, I got myself a notion, one that I know you'll understand. In Aladdin, during the infamous Whole New World song, I always heard the lyrics as "Hold your breath if it's better," as in if it's better for your fear levels, go ahead, close your eyes. Makes perfect sense, right? Now, some crazy people like to throw the official lyrics at me to prove me wrong, but nah, man. I cannot agree with you here. I have never heard it as "Hold your breath if it's better." It's definitely "Hold your breath, it gets better." And in the official lyrics, I'm pretty sure. But I appreciate your headcanon. One of my favorite headcanon stories is the Circle of Life. One of my friends' wives didn't know what the lyrics were being said because it's in a different language. So she thought it was pink pajamas, penguins on the bottom. Pink pajamas, penguins on the bottom. And I love that. That's my favorite misheard lyric of all time. Cody says, "Hey Tim, I recently listened to Kanye's album The College Dropout from front to back for the first time and absolutely loved it." Oh my god, I can't even imagine. What other rap albums can you recommend that you would listen to from top to bottom? Love all you guys at KF and happy to be a Patreon member. Thanks, Cody. Thank you, Cody. This is a fantastic question. If you are now finding and loving College Dropout, I highly recommend you go down Kanye's discography at least a little further. Definitely listen to Late Registration. It is very much a sequel to College Dropout. It is tonally similar, a lot more just refined and advanced production-wise. And then we get into Graduation, which has a much more electronic sound, but it's still classic Kanye. It's still in that era. If you're vibing with that, and if it seems like rap's not your traditional type of genre that you're into, he did another album called 808s and Heartbreaks in 808 and Heartbreak in there that is a bit more on the like modern Drake side, where it's kind of more like singing than rapping, and it's a little bit more like auto-tune stuff. Everything I'm saying right now sounds bad. It's good. It's different. It's artsy. It's experimental, but it's short. And there's some real gold in there. But then it all leads to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which I think is Kanye's best album. And I would stop there with the Kanye. I do think, though, that from College Dropout to that is really, you're going to have a good time if you enjoy College Dropout that much. Besides Kanye, if you liked College Dropout, I mean, honestly, there's so many Jay-Z albums that are amazing, but Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z's first album, it has a similar, debut vibe that College Dropout has, where they're still young and hungry. So check out Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z, and Illmatic by Nas. Those are good starting points for sure. A little basic, but they're good. They're classics. And Illmatic is so short. I think it's like 36 minutes or something. Tracy H says, "Hey Tim, just wondering how Kind of Funny decides which games to do a spoiler cast for. Thanks for all of the great content." Let's see. Spoiler cast, essentially, there needs to be an audience for it, and there needs to be enough of us that are passionate about making the content. Every single decision we make when it comes to making content here is always who gives a shit. And that's from the audience perspective and from the us perspective. And if there are enough people at Kind of Funny that want to do a spoiler cast for something, we're going to do it, even if we don't necessarily think there's a huge audience for it. At the same time, if there's a huge audience for something, we're not going to just do it unless we have the right people that want to make that content. So it is kind of like it goes both ways. But when it comes to spoiler casts, like, look at our history and you can kind of see there is a pattern there. It's usually for narrative-driven games. The Sony first-party titles, since there's so many people at Kind of Funny that love them, and they have things to talk about spoiler-wise, I think that they often do get it. Whereas, we're probably not going to do a spoiler cast for Super Mario 3D World necessarily. It doesn't make sense, Or things like the medium that happened, and some of us liked it, some of us didn't, but there wasn't enough passion on the team to talk about it in a spoiler capacity. Because normally spoiler capacity would mean that is another episode of Gamescast that is talking about the content. And something that people always need to keep in mind is, there's only so much room on the schedule to record things, and we also don't want to eat up space for content that's going up, because it does just kind of like kill the views for everything. So it's like there's a lot of strategy in how we release the content we do, and we try to not add stuff on top of what we're already doing. We have this slate of shows and programming. How do we get what we want in there? So that's why a lot of the changes we've made over the last couple of years have been made, and I hope that it's obvious as you're watching. Let's see. This comes from Nakash. What is the most uncomfortable conversation or disagreement / fight you've had with Greg and Nick about the company or something else in the past year that you're comfortable sharing, of course? From the outside, despite being the youngest, you do seem the most mature out of you three. That is hilarious. And I'm curious how you would handle those types of situations. Honestly, man, this is the most boring answer ever, but like, we don't really fight. Like, I would say the most uncomfortable conversations are things that you guys kind of see on camera. Like on camera fights and stuff that we have are usually the most uncomfortable things get, and that's never really that bad. It's just, when you're as close as we all are as friends, where it's like family, you can kind of just get annoyed at each other sometimes, and like little things where it's like, have you heard about bitch eating crackers syndrome? Where it's like, no matter what they're doing, like even if she's just eating crackers, I'm still mad at it. It's like that type of thing, where sometimes, it can get a little bit like, oh, Nick, you're cutting me off again, or whatever. But it's like, that's just in the moment. You know what I mean? And you guys all see it, and we kind of talk it out there. That's uncomfortable, but that's also just kind of life, and what a relationship is about: honesty and communication. Just got to be able to do it. But otherwise, Greg, Nick, and I tend to agree on decisions we're making, and the way that we function at Kind of Funny is everybody kind of gets an equal opinion. So we're never making a huge change or shift without talking to every single person at the company and at least getting their thoughts on it. I think a great example of that is like the Twitch stream we were doing this year. Like everyone at Kind of Funny was on board. We all had a conversation about it and, decided this is a good direction for us to take. But yeah, I think every single hard decision that we've had to make wasn't hard because of my partners. It was hard because, making the decision to get a lease for a new studio is a big decision. So we need to look at all the realities of that. And when we're in COVID, who the hell could have thought that would happen? So sometimes decisions aren't the best, but we make them together, and I support them. They support me, and we're very lucky that we have the group that we do. Kenny B says, "Hey Tim, how did the decision to set up the Kind of Funny Plays channel happen on the KFN? Was it something you guys have been considering for a while, or was it entirely a response to the fan response? Always curious to hear the inside baseball from you guys. Thanks for everything." Honestly, you guys all saw that live happen if you watched the stream, where there's going into every January 5th Kind of Funny Day. I try my best, and the whole team tries our best to answer all the questions and look at everything that we might not be thinking about, and nail it, and nail the messaging, and make it simple and clean to understand, to as many people as possible. And that's impossible. So there's always going to be things that we didn't think about. And that was definitely something that just went over my head, because we were so focused on just getting the Twitch stuff to work and getting the calendar and schedule to line up, and to make sure that if Blessing is streaming on Thursday, that he's not also recording a PS I Love You and a Gamescast and a Games Daily, so that everyone has, a reasonable amount of things to record in a day, and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot, guys. But yeah, there was the demand for it, and we listened, and originally we said it was going to be Patreon only. People didn't like that, and we looked at it all, and we have to make decisions like with you guys. And, there's some times that's not going to be what people want, but hopefully it can be more often than not. And we're always down to listen. I hope that that's obvious. I hope that, this is something we're all doing together. So I hope it feels that way. Calvin B says, "Tim, have you ever taken a break from gaming? If so, what was the longest?" No, not really. I feel like I've always kind of gamed. I've definitely used to play a lot more than I do in the like last 10 years of my life. Where I think that my gaming is a bit more quality gaming now over the quantity of stuff, where I hit a point where I'm like, the idea of just playing a video game doesn't make me happy. It's not just like, I just want to play anything. I feel like Greg's that way. I'm not. Like, I remember being a little kid, like, 10 or less. And it's like, you'd go to a doctor's office or a McDonald's or anywhere. And it's like, if they had a video game, if there was an arcade or a setup or whatever, it's like, oh my God, that's all I want to do. Didn't matter what the game was. It's a video game. So it's cool. It's like, I've had games. I've had access to games for a very long time. And it's like, I know what I like. I know people know what I like, and they can recommend me things that I might not traditionally try. And I'm always open for that. But, I'm not going to just play anything and everything, because I just don't have interest there. And like, I don't care about the gatekeeping side of it. If people are like, oh, Tim's not a real gamer. I don't care. Like, you can label me however you want to label me. Like, I enjoy what I enjoy. And, I don't think that I'm pigeonholing myself at all. I definitely am open to new experiences, and I do it all the time. But, yeah, I've never taken a full break from gaming, but that's because I think I have a healthy relationship with gaming. Next one says, hey, Tim, I was your server in Logan Airport 2 years in a row when you were still at IGN. When things get back to normal, do you see you guys traveling to the East Coast again? Well, what's up? Good to hear from you. Thank you for the quality service. Of course, yeah, we're going to the East Coast again. I can't believe it's been this long since we've been there. But yeah, I definitely think when everything's over, it's going to be really, really exciting to see people. So we're going to be wanting to go in as many places as possible. Let's see. Hey, Tim, what is the feel of everyone been on the new continent schedule? As someone who is able to watch pretty much everything, I feel as if all the group content has a similar feel to what it was like when you were all in the studio. Just like you're really enjoying it. I'm happy from that. From Brandon H. Honestly, man, I am shocked at how awesome this all is. There's definitely pros and cons. Like, I miss having everyone in the studio. There's an energy to that is unique that you honestly you can't get from the way that we're doing this. But honestly, I don't know if we have a solution to do the multicam Twitch setup in studio that we do here. And it's because we're using separate internets. Kevin's able to get all the feeds with high quality and all that stuff. It's like, we're going to have to really reconfigure and figure things out in a studio. So it is there's highs, there's lows, but I'm loving it. I think Snowbike Mike is an energy that we needed to have every day. And I honestly think that everyone at Kind of Funny is, super proud and stoked about what we're doing. So when the studio happens, things are going to change. We're going to have a blast then too. But I want to make the most about our situation right now. And I really think that we're doing that. Let's see. What's up, Tim? Eric Myers writing in saying, so now that you've had Moose for a while, what's your favorite quirk about the little snowball? For instance, our wiener dog loves rocks more than anything. She will entertain herself for literally hours with a single rock. Dogs are weird. Thanks for including more people on the monthly shows and being a cool dude. Sincerely, Eric Myers. Thank you, man. Oh, dude. Quirkiness from Moose. Literally everything he does is so funny. And I am such a whipped dog dad. It's one of those things where no one would have expected Tim Gettys to have this type of heart, this type of love for this fluffy little dude. Everything just brings me so much joy. I can get so mad at him and he'll just look at me and I'm like, well, I love you now. It's funny because I feel like it's all the normal stuff that every dog does, but every owner feels like is unique to them and it's so special. But he does this thing where when he wants to get comfortable, he scratches as if he's actually moving the bed or anything at all. And he just circles and circles and circles until he's perfectly a donut. And I'm just like, you're not doing anything. You're putting so much effort into just twirling, but it's so funny to me. Otherwise, I've talked about his hedgehog shenanigans, and now that he's neutered, it's a little bit less. But now he still loves the hedgehog more than anything. He just walks around with it in his mouth, just and it's so funny. We've been bringing him to dog parks for the first time recently. And he's so shy. And just watching the other dogs bully him and dominate him is just too much. And I just want him, he wants to play and he loves actually playing. He doesn't know how to initiate the playing. So it's kind of like the other dogs need to invite him in and then he feels comfortable. But what a little dude. I love him. Next up says, Tim, we need a Cool Greg update. I'm actually recording this on Cool Greg's birthday, February 23rd. He is doing fantastic. Honestly, he's doing better than I've seen him do in most of his life. Like it's been really great. He's been watching WandaVision with me, which is like super awesome. I love being able to, watch anything with him because, Cool Greg is Cool Greg. It's like he's always doing his own thing. I don't want to overstep my bounds with him. So whenever he wants to hang out with me, I'm like, oh my God, let's do it, But he's doing great. He's running every day, way more than I am even. Like he is kind of kicking ass with that stuff. But yeah, he's having a good time. It's very nice having him live here with me and G. Like it is fantastic having him around. Ryan says, "Hey Tim, when's the wedding?" It will. I mean, I don't. Who the fuck knows? When all this stuff's over is the real answer. But I'm hoping for February next year. February has a lot of important dates to me and G. February 12th is the day that we met for the first time. February 23rd, Today's our engagement anniversary and Cool Greg's birthday. That's kind of fun. 2 years engaged. Crazy. Thanks to COVID. But yeah, I definitely want it to be in February. But we'll see if that's going to be possible next year. Kendrick writes in and says, what's your pie in the sky unlimited money studio edition you'd bring to the new studio? Unlimited video boards, multiple camera angle setups for video shows. Just curious to get the studio Get Hype production ideas. Honestly, man, we're working on a lot of the Get Hype stuff. Like what we're doing is actually about to be fucking crazy. The one thing that I want more than anything that is pie in the sky, and I don't think we're actually going to get it, is I want video floor. Like I want WWE style, make our floor into whatever we want. But we'll see. It's very costly. And there's ways to do it that aren't that prohibitively expensive, but stay tuned. It's going to be some fun stuff. Next one says, it's almost been a year since you guys started working from home. I was just wondering what everyone we don't see on camera a ton does working from home, like Kevin, Barrett, and Cool Greg. Well, you actually do see Kevin or hear Kevin on a lot of the content. He runs 90% of the shows in our working from home thing, especially the streams now. He's always has some part in that. So that's what Kev's doing. In addition to tech setup and making sure everyone's at-home setup is up to par and working as well as possible. Barrett is backup running shows, so he tends to run most of the game shows that aren't Games Daily. So Gamescast, PS I Love You, XCast, he runs those nowadays. He also schedules all of our tweets and just social promotion in general, making sure that everything is up to date and being promoted correctly and all of that. He also gets things uploaded to Rooster Teeth specifically. And then Cool Greg does all of the editing of podcasts. So the majority of our content, he's the one taking the recordings, editing out, making sure that we have the Patreon video version, the Patreon audio version, the YouTube video version, the SoundCloud audio version, and then every which way, making sure that the metadata, the headlines, the thumbnails, the descriptions, the ad links, all that stuff get put in and put on the right places, whether it's Rooster Teeth or YouTube or SoundCloud or Patreon or the other Patreon or both Patreons. It's a lot. But yeah, that's mainly what he does. And then yeah, the rest of the team, like it's Roger's always editing. He has so many different things, whether it's the social clips he's breaking out or Blessing Show or the weekly Twitch streams and all that. The breakout videos he does. And then we got, you see Blessing a lot, but when he's not on camera, he's writing for the Blessing Show, planning the Blessing Show, all of that stuff. Andy does a lot of design stuff, even though he's been on a lot of content recently. And then Joey, of course, Joey's kind of my right-hand woman when it comes to making sure the calendar and strategy is all in line and locked in. Schedule-wise, making sure that like things aren't overlapping, no one's working too hard on any specific day or week or whatever, that type of stuff. This next one is there anything more hype than the We Own It intro from Fast and Furious 6? I don't think so. it is insane that that movie opens that way. And I love the final shot that just says Fast Six, and it's all of them wearing white shirts, just flowing in the wind, walking towards the camera. It's ridiculous, and I fucking love it. And I hope that whatever the final Fast movie is, Fast 10 Part 2 or whatever, I hope that it has an intro theme that is just ridiculously epic to outdo this. This next one, Mother 3. Why do you think we haven't gotten an official English version yet, and will we ever? It's hard to believe Lucas has been in Smash since Brawl and has become a favorite, yet Nintendo doesn't capitalize on that in releasing Mother 3. Then again, NES became insanely popular, and it took them forever to put Earthbound on the Wii U eShop and then the SNES Classic. I can't believe Mother 3 is not out. Nintendo's localized so many weird things. The fact that Star Fox 2 was actually released and we haven't seen Mother 3, I don't get it. They localized the original Fire Emblem into English, like what? Why would they? And not Mother 3? I don't know. We will see Mother 3 at some point in America. I truly believe it, but God, I just don't know when. Really don't know when. And then the final one comes in from Damien. Hey, Tim, thanks for doing more of these Q&As. My question is around how Kinda Funny does performance reviews and how they help each team member grow. I'm a manager myself, but in a completely different industry, so I'm wondering, how do you provide critical feedback for creative roles such as editors, artists, or host? With so many wearing so many different hats, how does that change what the reviews when they go above and beyond their role? How do you balance opportunities if that is tied to performance? And finally, how do the founders share feedback of themselves to each other? Thanks for all the content and the amazing community, Damien. So honestly, it's an ever growing and evolving process that we always, every year, me, Greg, and Nick get together and have a conversation about how should we handle reviews this year? How should we handle talking to everybody? And every year's been different. I feel like some of the years we've had a bit more constant. I mean, there's always like constant feedback throughout the year when necessary, whether it's positive or negative. We really try to be good about rewarding people for hard work and for doing things well. You know, like that's something we look at IGN and how we were treated there. And I don't mean that sounds way more dramatic than I mean it, but you know, we often only heard feedback when something was wrong. So we've all really taken that to heart to make sure that we are telling people good job when they do a good job, and that we are actually consuming the content that people make, like watching the edits and watching the hard work that our team does. And, you know, really not just saying, hey, you're doing good, but being like, hey, this specific thing was awesome, and here's why. I do think it goes a long way in pushing people to embrace their passions and, you know, kind of just put out the best quality work that makes everyone happy. But something that we always do is we have a set of questions. It's fairly standardized, but it's essentially like, what's something this person does well? What's something this person could improve on, and just say something nice about this person, I think is like definitely the three of the things we always have. And we have everybody do that for everyone on the team, including founders, everybody, just every which way. And then you get a good kind of like, then we do one-on-one meetings with everybody going through all that info essentially. And like, it's very positive overall. They, you know, there is a lot of things that need to be addressed, and things that have gotten addressed over the years. I'm very proud of our team for being able to take feedback and criticism that everyone has for each other and take it to heart and, you know, kind of grow and better yourselves. And it's a constant thing where I want everyone on the team to feel comfortable being able to come up to any of us and talk about a future, talk about like what they want to be doing at Kinda Funny. And that's a big thing I always ask the individuals is, what do you want to be doing and what do you not want to be doing about your current job? Kinda Funny is very unique, man. It's a different vibe, and it's a different type of thing than most jobs. And with that, I need to make sure that I'm still making sure that everyone's getting what they need from the framework of what a job is. But I'm very proud of how we handle it. And, you know, I'm constantly, as we deal with issues in our lives, social issues, or like the last year has been so difficult, obviously, from the political landscape, social justice landscape, all of that. Like, we need to make sure that we are looking at our team and having conversations with them, even if they're hard sometimes, so that everyone understands that we're all in this together, but at the same time that everybody needs to be looked at as unique and their own situation that we need to make sure that we are doing our best to support. But anyways, if anyone ever has any suggestions, I would love to hear them, because we definitely want to keep adapting and changing and making it a better environment than it was yesterday. But with that, thank you very much for writing into inTIMate. I appreciate you all very much. I will see you in a couple months with another episode. But next month, I'm pretty sure, is Nick for an episode of, I don't remember what it's called. Nick Flicks? Doesn't matter. Who cares? I care. I love it. I love Nick. I love you guys. Bye.